Alright guys, so the set has finally been released, so we're just going to go through it card by card. I'll try not to yap too much. I'm trying to do 10 minutes per color if possible, so let's get through it. We already know what Goku Mini DA does. Makes a DA card plus 10k. Going to be a super aggressive deck. I do think this leader's been quite slept on though. Not many people I've seen testing this leader just yet. So you have Kadan. When attacking, if your leader's awake, can play up to one battle card of cost 1 or less. Oh no, it's just cost 1 with DA in its name. I think this card's very whatever. Like, playing this when you're awakened, this is not where you want to be on your curve by this point, so I don't think this card's going to be particularly very good. Master Roshi is just the vanilla. Not good, not bad. Kabito DA, it's got crit, and it eats a life. I think this card is okay. Like, within the realm of your curve, it's only going to be good when you're going from 5 to 4, and then you get to boost this to 35 and crit your opponent once, and then after that, it's kind of its viability just goes downhill from there because the later the game goes on, the worse crit gets, honestly. Like, especially with 25k, that's not a number that matters. Right? Once your opponent's awakened, you want to have 35k as a crit, and you don't want to waste your leader effect on a card like this in the later stages of the game. You want to use it on like cards like Gloria. Not this Gloria though, vanilla tier, whatever. And then we have Glorio DA. Let's look at the old art. So when your leader's awakened, your opponent's leader gets minus 5k for the turn. And then when attacking once per turn, if your leader has DA in its special traits, you get to switch this card to active mode. This card's amazing. I think this is the I think this is the best red card in the set. Still, even with full context of the set, I think this is still just the best card. Obviously, this is only going to be played in DA decks. I don't think this card will be generically as good as people want it to be, because if this is not swinging twice, I don't think it's going to be that high impact. Granted, the 4-cost slot is quite free at the moment. We only have Kefla in that slot. In most decks, the only other slot usually is like a cringe Jiren in non-Jiren decks, right? Or like the UI Goku secret rare from set 1. So I wouldn't blame you or hold you if you wanted to play one copy of Gloria. But yeah, this card's in the DA decks. This card's a house. It's just amazing. It snowballs advantage and just piles on so much pressure on the opponent that they have to get out of. An amazing card. Goku. So when attacking, choose a battle card in the opponent's battle area. It gets minus 10k for the turn. I think this card's just a slightly worse Gohan super rare, which is just means it's a good card overall. Honestly, that's the highest form of praise I can give it. It's a slightly worse version of a super rare in the rare slot. I think that's quite good. It being 10k is also huge. Probably only going to see playing U7, but you do have another viable option if you don't want to. Gohan Adolescent. So on play, add up to one card of cost 3 or less that has Universe 7 and special traits from the drop to your hand. So once again, like I was saying, the 4-cost slot in red is quite open at the moment. So having more options like this, I think, is great. It being a 30k in U7 is huge. Being able to add back that Goku we just saw, Super Rare Gohan is a great one. Super Rare Vegeta is also a great card to add back. And about Whis is also good. It's a lot of good targets, if I'm being honest. Like, and as far as I know, it doesn't say battle cards. It's just Universe 7. So if there are any Universe 7 extras we want to add back, like Glimpse, I think is another Universe 7 trait extra you could add back potentially. I think that's quite. I just think overall this card's quite good. Very powerful rare. It having 10k as well is amazing. Tamigami number 3. Let's look at the alt art. So it's a blocker, and its permanent is it can't be KO'd once per turn. I don't think this card is very good. I just don't think this is in the right color. I don't see a universe where you ever need a blocker like this in red when your main aspect is to just attack and kill the opponent. I just think, like, if you want to play a blocker, you play the Chi-Chi DA. That's like the best. Like, that's one of the best blockers red has, right? It's a cantrip that can block. That's where you want to be with your blockers. And you don't care if it gets KO'd or not because it replaced itself already. I don't really see a universe where you're going to play this in your DA decks. It's just a little bit annoying, but it's not really getting you where you need to be in the early game. You want to play Self-Awakeners in the early game, not a blocker. Tien Shinhan, so a permanent on your opponent's turn, this card gets 5k. Then on play, add up to 1 life to your hand. This is just a worse version of the starter deck Krillin. I don't really see a universe where you ever play this card. But it's another target for that TOP Tien. I don't even think TOP Tien can play that one. I think Tien TOP plays 1-drops, right? So forget that. Card's just bad. Neva DA. So you check the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 1 non-Neva DA 4S cards with the DA trait, and then you add it to your hand. Just cards solid. Obviously, specifically adding cards that have DA in the card name is a little bit rough, just a little bit, but it adds Glorio, and that's all you care about. Adds Glorio, adds yourself Awakener Goku. That's where you want to be, honestly. If you're playing DA, you're playing this card. Hybris DA. So choose up to 1 battle card of cost 15 or less, 15k or less, and you KO it. I think this card's just not very good, honestly. I always think Fua is better. This can do cute combos with DA Goku starter deck, but once again, you'd rather just play Fua. The only major advantage this card has is it's got 10k power, so it just doesn't die as easily to Whis, right? That's it. Pansy DA, so permanent on your turn. If your leader's awakened, it gets plus 5k for the turn, or during your turn. This card is fine. It's exactly what you'd expect out of a rare within the archetype. If you used to play this, I wouldn't hold you. Like, Margarita basically does the exact same thing, but you can't boost Margarita within the archetype with your leader to 30 or 25k with the DA Gokus. So, if you play this to boost your consistency of Neva, I wouldn't hold you for that. Pansy DA, choose up to 1 of your leaders or battle cards with both DA traits in the battle area, and then it gets 5k. I think this card's just bad, honestly. Like, the only advantage this Pansy has is that it can buff your leader or battle cards when you're on your front side, not awakened, but that's just not a valid reason to play this, honestly. So we have Pansy DA. Let's look at the alt art. On play, add a life, and then when KO'd, if your leader's DA, draw 2 cards. So you're only ever going to play this in the DA leaders. Like, even though like 3 of the 5 colors can answer this card really easily, it's still viable and playable, honestly, because if you ever do resolve the when KO'd effect, it's very hard to lose the game if you ever resolve this effect, honestly. Sure, against blue, this is just a garbage card. Against red, minus 20k is not as easy as outside of Beerus, it's not easy to just do minus 20k to a card, right? It does take some cards to remove this. But like against blue and against black, it's kind of just whatever, right? Blue and black just don't care about Pansy, but like against yellow and green, it's going to be more annoying to have to interact with this card, right? So overall, it's a good card. Generically, it's terrible, but like within the realms of DA, I wouldn't blame you playing this over Khalifa. Vanilla. The super combo is a DA, which is nice. Vegeta Mini, so permanent on your turn, this card gets 5k. And then on play, eat a life. This is exactly where you want to be with a Self-Awakener within your archetype. It's basically exactly like starter deck Krillin. You're only going to play this in like the DA deck, honestly. But it's generically fine. Like, it's searchable via a Neva as well, which is nice. But yeah, generically, it's just a good Self-Awakener. Margin Boo good. On play, if your leader's awakened, this card gets plus 15k for the turn. So it's a 35k body on curve. I think you'd only want to play this in U7, because then it's going to be a 40k body. 40k on curve is a very, very high number. And this is that's the type of number you want to slap a 10 on, so it's a 50k to make it incredibly awkward for your opponent to get out of. So I think for U7, this is really good, because like you can play Margin Boo good on curve into like Frieza on curve, so you get to just swing 50 into 50 or 40 into 50. So yeah, I think in that realms of that deck, I think it's quite good. Like, I just appreciate that they're printing more forecasts with like interesting effects, so we don't have to always play Kefla, sorry. Minotaur DA, when attacking, if you have a battle card with 25k or more, choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area, gets minus 10k for the turn. This is just terrible, honestly. There's no reason to play this card. You can just play Fua and it does minus 15k with no other conditions. Moscow. Check the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal one non-Moscow card with the God of Destruction and special traits, and add it to your hand. This is great, honestly. This is a very good future-proof card that can only get better. Obviously, Rumshi is one of the best God of Destruction targets in this game. Beerus deck will obviously has the 3-drop Beerus and the 5-drop Beerus. And Helisk, I think, or was it Helios? I can't remember her name. The 4-drop 25k body is also a really premium God of Destruction target. So there's quite... Oh yeah, and Belmont 2-drop also is also a really, really good target. So there's already a couple good targets for this card. I don't think it's warranting any slots right now, but this card is a card to pick up because it's only going to get better in time. Good, it's a great card though. So we're on to the extras now. New adventure, activate battle, your turn. If your leader's awakened, cards with the DA and their special traits get 15k for the battle. I don't think this card's particularly great. If you have a spare slot in your deck, sure, you could play it, but I think they're just better cards to play, honestly. In an aggressive deck, you don't need to reach such high numbers, bro, honestly. Choose up to, so yeah, mini body, choose all battle cards in the opponent's battle area. They get minus 5k for the turn. I don't think this card is worth slotting any type of red deck, honestly, unless you're going in a very targeted environment where there's a bunch of blue 1-drops that you want to deal with. Other than that, I don't see a universe who'd ever play this. I don't think this card is particularly very good. If we had side decking, I think this card would be great, but we don't. So I just don't think this card would ever make it in a 50 card. I don't think this would ever be a consideration in my 50 cards in a red deck, honestly. Not unless there's like a bunch of blue 1-drops I want to deal with. And then the last red card is Warp Sammer. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the DA in its name, add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom. Then activate battle during your opponent's turn. Your cards in a battle gain 15k for that battle. I think this card's cool. Probably like a 2 of in some DA decks. This can add the super combo Bulma, which is great. And it adds the double striker, which is important. But Warp Sammer adding Neva, then Neva finding Glorio. Just more ways to find Glorio, I think, is just needed in your DA deck, honestly. Just that extra little boost of consistency. And when you don't need to play it because you have your card pieces, you can just get a nice, cool defensive card. Very solid card overall. Red got quite a lot of decent things within the realms of the DA deck. Generically, not so much. A couple nice rares here and there, but overall, yeah. Red got some solid pieces. We should be on to blue now. Yeah, so we know what Vegito does already. On Awaken, you milled the top 10, and then when you have 20 or more, you're swinging for 40k, bro. This leader can never be bad. Honestly, I just don't think this leader will ever be bad. Just generically, I don't think this leader will ever be bad. I'll be very surprised. Like, this is completely power creep Vegeta starter deck. I just think this leader's amazing. Debatably the best blue leader in the game we have now. Oob. On play, if you have a Goku in your battle area, draw 2 cards and discard 1 card from your hand. I don't think this card is good at all. Not worth 2 energy at all. Goku Black. Permanent. If you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, this card gains 10k, so it's a free drop 30k on your turn. On play, eat a life. I mean, it's great that Goku Black is getting more support. Makes your 1-drop Zamasus more consistent to find more card names. I really wish this was just a 2-drop, so it'd be exactly like the 2-cost starter deck Trunks, but I understand why it's not. But yeah, I understand why this is a rare, and any type of Goku Black support is appreciated. It's nice to know that they remember the leader. Gotenks is the next rare. The permanent on your turn, if you have 10 or more cards in the drop, this card gets 10k, and then it just eats a life. It's fine, honestly. It's not that great, not that bad. Piccolo gets a couple more targets for Gotenks now, which is kind of cool. But yeah, this card's just okay. Zamasu Fused. On play, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, choose up to 1 Zamasu Fused in your leader area or battle area, and it gets plus 5k for the turn. This card's amazing, bro. This card's amazing. Making your 25k Zamasu Fused leader 30 for your turn and your opponent's is filth, bro. Like, imagine just a Goku Black turn picking up this Zamasu Fuse, swinging with it, bringing this down. He gets a swing for 40. Zamasu Fuse targets your leader, then he gets a swing for 30, then he gets a swing for 30 again. And then you have a 30k leader on defense. That's insane. This is a very powerful card, man. This is really good. It's really good support for the Zamasu deck. This is more than enough. Really, really good card for Zamasu Fuse. Son Goku Super Rare. The first Super Rare. Let's look at the alt art. So on play, you add up to one. You can add up to 1 life to your hand, and you choose one of these 2 effects. You place the top 5 cards into your deck. You mill the top 5 cards to your deck, or if you have 20 or more cards in the drop, during the turn, the next time you'd use an extra of cost 3 or less from your hand, you don't have to pay the cost. We need to see a couple more cards, but like this card overall, I think is great. This sets up any type of mill strategy. Very, very easy for you to meet the requirements for your 20 or more cards in the drop condition. And being able to cast cards like Galactic Donut, Sinister Sickle, the upcoming extra See You, or like Absolute Lightning, Gallic Gun, or Final Hope Slash. Like the list goes on, right? Like these types of cards you can resolve for free is just really powerful. Overall, I think this is a really good card. I love the alt art as well. This artwork looks so sick. So Son Goku. So we've got another on play, add 1 card to your life to your hand, then place the top 3 cards of your deck into the owner's drop. So this is another Self Awakener that contributes to the mill strategy. If you don't want to attack the opponent, this is just a very easy way to Self Awaken and start milling cards into your drop, which it's just fine. Not too good, not too bad. Goten, I mean, the only positive thing I can say about it, it's another Videl target, the one that plays Vanillas. That's it. Gohan Adolescent. So on play, if you have 7 or less cards in your hand, draw a card. It's solid. It does exactly what you need it to do on curve, honestly. Like, I never sniff at cards that draw cards in blue. It's just okay. Not bad, not good. Dende, just a cantrip. Nothing to say here. Trunks Adolescence, on play, you add a life to your hand, then choose up to 1 battle card or cost 1 or less, and bottom deck it. It's basically Zamasu with a lethal stats. I don't think I'd want to play this card over Zamasu, honestly. I don't really have anything positive to say about this card. So Pan is the super combo for blue this set, which is cool. Bulma 1-drop, so you check the top 5 cards, reveal up to 1 Trunks Youth or Vegeta, and add it to your hand. Then you place the rest to the bottom of your deck. I mean, we know what Trunks Youth we all been playing at the moment. It's just a cantrip. This can add Masked. I think it's Masked Warrior. It counts as Trunks Youth in all areas, which is nice. And then Vegeta, there are so many Vegetas. I think we'll have to shelf, like, we just bench this card for now. If we ever get like a super combo Vegeta, this card can add it, or super combo Trunks Youth, it can add it. So it's fine. So we have the next super rare for blue. Vegeta, on play, add up to 1 blue card with a cost 3 from your drop to your hand. And activate battle, switch this card into rest mode. If you have 20 or more cards in your drop, you can target a Son Goku with cost 3. And it gains 30k for a battle. This card's amazing. Like overall, this card's amazing. Like, I don't know if this is the best blue card in the set. I don't know. But like, adding back Sinister Sickle, Galactic Donut, 3 cost Gotens, 3 cost Trunks, the list goes on, bro. Like, it can add battle cards or extras. That's amazing, bro. Like, that alone is really, really good. But when you get to use the other effects on top, this card's just a house. The fact that it's a 10k on top is amazing. This card is just so good, honestly. The fact that you can also get this, you can play this off of Barber as well. If you have 10 or more in the drop, you can just, like, if this is in the drop and you have a Barber in your hand, you can just play Barber, sack the Barber, play this Vegeta, and add back any free cost you need to. It's only cost 3, not 3 or less. But yeah, this card's amazing. We have another Vegeta. So when attacking, you can add up to 1 life to your hand. Then you can place the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop. So this just supports any type of self-awakening and meal strategy. The two leaders that comes to mind, obviously, is Gohan and Vegito. This is a very, very solid card to meet the conditions of Vegito and Gohan. Very easy to get cards into the drop. Lets yourself awaken quite quickly as well on a lethal body. We have quite a lot of options in terms of self-awakeners now, which is really, really good. Then we have the last super rare of blue, Vegito. On play, you can choose one battle card that costs 4 less from your opponent's battle area, return it to the hand. Then when attacking, if you have 20 or more on the drop, your opponent can't use battle cards with cost 3 or less. They can't attack with them, which I think is crazy good. This is just a very powerful anti-aggro tool, specifically for any deck that can meet the mill strategy very well. The most consistent deck that can use this off the top of my head will probably be Vegito. If you're able to awaken on curve and get the 20 into drop, it means by turn 4 or 5, you'll be able to play this Vegito down, answer an annoying threat on the board, and then lock out any type of wideboard aggro strategy that your opponent has. Obviously, the later the game goes on, the worse this card gets because your opponent can play higher cards on curve. But like any low to the ground strategy that is trying to go wide with aggro cards, which is usually a bunch of 3LS cards, they're gonna have a very hard time against you, right? They're gonna have a very hard time dealing with this card. Rest in peace, Green Vegeta, for example, right? That deck can't win if your opponent has Vegito down and they play it on curve. They can't beat this card if Vegito comes down. It's impossible. Like, they have to play the double striker to pop this card to deal with it, but even then, you're still locked out, and then there's nothing stopping them from playing another one and just locking you out again for another turn. We have another Vegito. Activate main, place this card to the bottom of your deck. Then if you have 20 or more in the drop, you get to add a Son Goku or a Vegeta of cost 3 or less to your hand. Once again, this is a very good card. It enables you to just add the Vegeta Super Rare and the Vegeta and Goku Super Rares back to your hand if you need to. This is just a very efficient way to gain resources back from your drop, which is just very powerful in a mill strategy when you basically have a second hand when your drop is just all when you can manipulate your drop. You're basically playing a deck with a second hand, and decks that have second hands are notoriously very powerful, man. This also will prevent you from decking out, which is something to be aware of as well. Margin Boo good. It's a blocker. The opponent on your opponent's turn, if you have 20 more cards on the drop, this gains plus 20k. I've never been a fan of blockers ever. I don't think blockers are good in this game, unfortunately. Any blocker that costs more than 3, I just think is bad. They're just susceptible to removal too easily. By the time this card is live, it's just worthless, honestly. I can't see a universe where you ever play this card. Hercule on play. Place the top 2 cards and mill the top 2 cards of your deck, and then if you have 10 or more, you draw a card. You don't have to play this in any type of mill strategy, but if you do, I won't begrudge you. It's a lot of effort if you want to just draw a card. Okay. So place the top 2 cards in your deck into the drop. Then if you have 10 or more cards in your drop, you can choose a leader or battle card with the same trait, and it gets 5k for the turn. This card's awful. Once again, there are just better cards to play to mill cards if you want to, and plus 5k is just worthless. For one extra energy, you can play the Krillin and gain 10k, bro. It's just not worth it. Not 10k, 5k, but generically. Sacred Well of the Kai. So it's a field, activate main, switch this to the rest mode, place the top 2 cards of your deck into the drop. I don't see a universe where you ever play this card, if I'm being honest. If you really need that extra mill consistently, sure. But this card is one of those cards where if you don't see it within the first 2 turns of the game, you're never playing it down, right? And if you need to mill the top 2 cards of your deck, Pan is just a little bit more consistent, honestly. So yeah, I don't really think this card's going to be utilized very well, and it's a non-bow. Bit rough, man. Then we have Savior of the World. Activate battle. If you have 20 or more cards in your drop, Your cards that are in a battle gain 15k for the battle. This card's crazy powerful, man. If you're able to meet that requirement in your deck, this is just a really solid and consistent defensive extra. This is a really good card, honestly. Like I can't believe this is a peel off and Videl target as well. Oh, yeah, this card's amazing. Like, there's no bad lines of text on this card. If you can meet the requirements, this card is just probably a shoo-in to be in your deck, honestly. Then the last extra we have is Unrivaled Fusion Father. Activate main, choose up to one Vegeta with a cost 4 or more in your battle area. It gains 10k for the turn. Then if you have 20 or more cards in the drop, it gains an additional 10k. So you're going to target your secret rares, right? So you can swing either 50 or 60 twice, respectively. I personally don't think this card is very good because it can only target one card name. I don't like cards that can only target one card name personally. I'd rather just have a generically more consistent card like Final Hope Slash, right? But if you really want to push that extra damage and your whole deck is centered around Vegito, I won't hold you for playing this card. We should be onto yellow cards now with Janemba. Oh no, one more. We have CU, the main card to revolve around the Goku. So activate main. If you have 20 or more cards in your drop, choose up to one Son Goku with a cost 3 in your battle area. It gains double strike for the turn. Then you choose up to one battle card with cost... you just choose any battle card in your opponent's battle area. And you place it into the deck, bottom of the deck. So yeah, playing this for free off of the Goku is very, very, very powerful because it's just absolute lightning whilst giving the Goku double strike. So all of a sudden, with the Vegeta, you're swinging 55k double. So for no cost, it's so powerful, honestly. This card's obscenely strong, man. I can't praise this card enough, honestly. Being able to just gain a double striker for a card name that also doubles as removal is insane. Like, I think this card's amazing. This card's amazing. I can't say anything else about it. Generically, this card is just okay, right? It's absolute lightning at the very worst. But it's but like honestly, all you want to do is play this with the Goku, right? With the Goku, this card is just super, super scary. Now we should be on to the yellow cards. Oh no, we're in green. We're on green. So we have the Goku leader. So, yeah, we've seen the Goku leader already. He awakens on 3 and draws on 3. And then when it's awakened, it gets 10k during its turn. And an end of turn trigger, mandatory, discard one card. If your life is at 2 or less, and you have 7 or less energy, gets a heal. This leader is fine. I think out of all the leaders, this is debatably the worst one, honestly. I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but this is probably going to be the leader that's going to require the most amount of work to find the correct 50 and the correct strategy to win. The mandatory discard one every single turn on a leader that can't attack is brutal. That's very, very brutal. So you need to be playing cards that eat life consistently, so you're always going from 3 to 2 every single turn. Otherwise, you're going -1 every single turn for no reason. So we have just the vanilla North Kai, nothing to say here. So we have Krillin Super Rare, add a life to your hand on curve, and then on KO, you can place one card in your hand to energy in rest mode. This card's fine. I think this card will probably warp Grain Mirrors a little bit. Like, if you have Krillin and they don't, you just have a beater that can basically attack for free for a good, solid amount of turns during the game. It's nice that Green finally has its on-curve Self-Awakener with lethal stats. It's taken them far too long. But yeah, this card's fine. It's nothing disgustingly strong. It's just a card that Green has needed for a while. And then we should just have the regular art coming up next. Yeah, so let's go on to the next card. Guru, end of turn. Place one card from your life into the drop. Activate main, switch this card to rest mode. During this turn, the next time you see an extra cost 5 and it's got Namekian in its special trait, you don't have to pay the cost. I think this card's terrible. This card's terrible. There are only 2 targets in this card for this card in the game, and neither of which are worth critting a life for. I have nothing more to say. Goku. So permanent on your turn. If your life's at 2 or less, this card gets 15k. So it's with 35k body. And then on play, eats life. Generically, this card is terrible. It's probably going to be only played in the Goku deck to eat a life. To go from 3 to 2. So you can swing for 35k and then get all your bonus effects when you're at 2 life. Gohan Youth, let's look at the alt art. So on play, you choose one of these 2 effects. If your life's at 2 or less, choose a battle card in your opponent's battle area and KO it. Then the other option is you can add one card to your add one card from your life to your hand. That's mandatory. Then choose up to 1 battle card that will cost 3 or less in the battle area and KO it. I think this Gohan is solid. I think this might be the best green card out of the set, unfortunately. Obviously, in Goku Leader specifically, this card is super duper good, right? Because it can KO any card in the game. In generically for green decks, being able to KO the pesky 2-drop critters or the pesky 2-drop 20k bodies now, they can finally interact with them in some form or fashion. This is another card that's just been... It's just been a long time coming for green to get a card like this, honestly. The 0 combo I do think is very rough and very punishing, though. But overall, I think this card's great. Super combo Chi-Chi, nothing to see here. Chaozu. If your life's at 2 or less, choose 1 battle card that costs 5 or less in your opponent's battle area. It can't attack. So once again, this is really punishing for just other green decks. Like, this is clearly just for the Goku deck. Unfortunately, like, being able to only target 5 or less is a little rough, but I understand. Since you have the Gohan pops whatever you can't stun, right? I get it. But I still think it could have been okay for you to just stun any card. The 2 or less life is so rough, though. I honestly think they didn't need to do that. I think this could have just been on play, and it could have been an energy requirement, like 6, or if you had 6 or more energy. If you have 6 or more energy, you can stun any card. I think that would have been better. So yeah, once again, generically, this is terrible. In Goku, it's fine. Tien Shinhan on play. Place 1 life into your drop. Choose a battle card of cost 2 or less in the area, in the battle area that your opponent controls. KO it. This card's terrible. Dende. Activate main, switch this card into rest mode. If your life's at 1, add the top card of your life to your deck to your life. So once again, generically, this is terrible. Oh, this is only for Goku if you're at 1 life to go from 1 back to 3 at the end of the turn. But more often or not, if your opponent, more often or not, you should never be at 1 life. Your opponent should just be putting you in a position to die. So I can't see Dende being played at like anything more than 2, if even being played at all. But once again, generically, this card is just terrible. Green has not really they've not really gotten much. Nail Blocker. Permanent opponent's turn, your Guru can't be removed from the battle area by your opponent's skills. This card is just garbage. Piccolo, on play, place 1 card from your life into the drop. Add up to 1 card with Namekian special traits from your drop into the energy. This is alright. Like, it crits your life, but like it's basically putting the card from life into energy like Nappa does. But still, it's just a little bit rough, bro. It's not very good. Dr. Briefs. On play, check the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 extra with a cost 2 or less, and add it to your hand. And then place the rest of them, put the rest at the bottom, any order. I think this card's absolutely great, if I'm being honest. Like, not being able to add not being able to add Jiro's Lab or Destructive Strength is a little bit sad, but like there are a lot of good 1-drop and 2-drop defensive extras anyway, so I still think Dr. Briefs does have a very good place in green decks. This is like one of the few good generic green cards I've seen so far, honestly. Bulma, check the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the Planet Namek trait, and then put the rest at the bottom. This card's okay. There's not many good Planet Namek trait cards, if I'm being honest. So this is kind of a miss in terms of cantrips, and I doubt we're going to get more Planet Namek cards, honestly. So this is a very whatever cantrip, but it could be played in the Goku deck if you want to play it, honestly. But yeah, it's one of the weaker cantrips. So we have Vegeta. On play, you must add a life to your hand. Then if your life's at 2 or less, draw a card. Once again, this is generically awful. This is only for the Goku deck if you're... Like, this is literally only for the Goku deck, right? If you have 3 life and you need to go to 2, you get to go to 2 and draw a card, which is kind of cute. But once again, generically, this is just terrible. And even in the Goku deck, I don't even know if you have room for a card like this. I think there are better cards that can put you from 3 to 2, honestly. So yeah, quite disappointing in terms of a Self-Awakener. But it's nice that Green has some Self-Awakeners at last that have lethal stats. Murray, a blocker. It's a very simple card. Add 1 card to your life, from your life to your hand. I think this card's great. I actually think this card's fantastic. I want more blockers like this. So if you have a strategy where you need to Self-Awaken, I like that this card's just a really good option against the crit leaders like Beerus. Like, if you're a green leader, you can just play Murray, eat a life, and then it's got 10k, and it's a blocker. So, like, Whis is not removing this immediately on curve, which is great. Unless they play a second one on curve, which is a little bit awkward. But being able to just get out of a leader swing that's crit is great. Also really good for the Goku deck as well, right? It just easily puts you from 3 to 2 when you need to. Or if you want to Self-Awaken from turn 1, it just gets you going. And it's a 10k. I think Murray's a great card. Yamcha, just a vanilla. Supports that Yamcha that only lets you attack card name Yamchas, but who cares about that, honestly. Yard, I'm just going to call this Yardrak, bro. It's a blocker and it eats a life. Once again, this is exactly where you want your blockers to be. They just eat a life and that's it. I kind of wish it had 20k as well and just made it mandatory. I think this card is fine. It's just another Self-Awakener option. Not the greatest, but not the worst. So we're on to the extras now. Destructo Disc. Activate battle. Your cards that are in a battle gain 20k for the turn. Then if your life's at 2 or less, it gains crit. I think this card is good in Goku. Maybe. I don't know. It might be a little bit memey, but at the same time, playing the free drop, playing the double striker's secret rare, and then putting Destructo Disc on it, and then you're swinging for 65 crit double strike, seems disgusting to me. So, I don't know, man. I think this card can be good in the Goku deck, but once again, bro, this card, like, generically, this card is just awful. I don't know why it has the 2 or less condition on it. I think this could have just been as is without that condition, and it still would have been good. It still would have been fine. So yeah, like, I don't know, bro. Like, it's playable in the Goku deck. I understand why it's a rare, but in every other green deck, they got nothing to work with, honestly. Green really lost out. Unlockability. Activate main, choose a battle card, and it gains 15k for the turn. Then if your life's at 1, you can add the top 2 cards of your deck into your life. I think this card's terrible. It only works when you're at 1 life. Paying 5 for this is terrible. Using Guru to make this cost nothing is also just terrible. Overall, I just think this card is really, really bad. There are just better things to do with Fire Energy, honestly. Training at 100 Gs. Activate main, you draw a card and then you add a life to your hand. Then if your life's at 2 or less, you can play a Goku of cost 3 or less from your hand. So you can play the Secret Rare Goku from this effect. I'll get to the Secret Rare Goku later. I think this card's just okay. It's another card that gets you from 3 to 2 if you're playing Goku deck. But once again, just, like, outside of that, it's just whatever, honestly. Dr. Brief Spaceship, activate main. If your leader is Son Goku, and your life's at 2 or less, draw 2 cards. Like, this is the only form of card draw you're getting in the Goku deck, it seems. And because of that, this card is good. Other than that, though, it's just okay. It is a +1. like, it is a +1. I will not say this card is bad, right? I can't, because it's a pot of greed at the end of the day. But because you're still having to discard a card every single turn, it just becomes an before it becoming a +1, it just becomes a net neutral, unfortunately. But still, you got to take every form of card draw you can get with a leader that doesn't draw on attack. Full power. Activate main if your life's at 2 or less. Choose up to 2 battle cards with a cost 4 or less in the battle area and KO them. So this is the type of card green has needed for so long, and it's so unfortunate that this is locked to 2 or less life. So this is, once again, this is going to be a card that stabilizes the board in the Goku deck. Generically, every other green deck cannot use this card, unfortunately, to take back the board when the opponent is aggressing them. It's so unfortunate. I cannot stress to you like how bad it feels to be a green player and just not have generic removal to deal with the board state. Like this card's amazing in the Goku deck. It's amazing. It's really, really good. Every other green deck, it's terrible because you have to be at 2 or less life, and that's just the danger zone. By that point, you're already dead. So off to the yellow cards now. So we have Janemba. It draws on Awaken, as we've seen already. Then Awakening, when it attacks, it activates 2 energy, and then the activate main is you draw a card by paying 2 energy, and then you choose a battle card in the battle area and switch it to rest mode. This leader, I think this is the best leader of the set, honestly. This leader screams future proof to me. Like this, I don't think this leader will. I think this leader can only ever get better. The more yellow cards we get that have restand energy, the better this leader gets. And this leader already seems like a very strong house. So yeah, very, very good leader. If you get to awaken before the opponent, you can just prevent your opponent from ever self-awakening, which is really, really powerful. King Cold. If you have a total of 3 or more cards with the Freezer clan and their special traits amongst your leader and battle cards, you can play up to 1 non-King Cold battle card will cost 4 or less with the Freezer clan special traits. I think this card's really good. This card's really, really good. It lets you play Barrier Freezer for free, essentially. The requirement is very, very minimal. You just need King Cold. Like, if you're playing Freezer or Caller Leader, all you need is King Cold, the Freezer or Caller Leader, and then 1 more trait on the board, and then that's it. 2-drop Freezer is a really easy card to keep on the board, and then you can just play a 4-drop for free. Or the easiest way is to go Mecha Freezer into King Cold into whatever you want, right? Really great card. I think this is an amazing rare. Amazing rare. Zarbon's the super combo. Psych Demon is just a cantrip. Zangia is just eat a life on play, and then when attacking, you can pay 1, draw 2, pitch 1. Very solid Self-Awakener, honestly, and it just lets you filter through cards, which is just very appreciated. It's a very annoying card if you're playing Freezer, restanding this every turn seems really good because you just get to see the next 2 cards before making any type of decision for 1 energy. I think this is a very good Self-Awakener, honestly. Jace is a crit, and then it eats a life on play. So yeah, yellow has now got its 2-drop crit body on curve. Amazing. As we've seen with Khalifa and Vegeta, this is just one of the most powerful things you can do on 2. Lord Jaguar, activate main, switch this card into rest mode, and add up to 1 3 or less card with Jaguar Islands as its special traits from your drop to your hand other than itself. This card's just okay. It just depends on how good the targets are. Janemba's just a vanilla. Janemba super rare. Let's just have a look at the good one. Right. So we have the Janemba super rare. On play, add up to 1 life to your hand, then switch one of your energies to active mode, then choose 1 battle card in the opponent's battle area and switch it to rest mode. This card's amazing, honestly. Like the fact that this does so much for so little. Like obviously you have to front up the initial cost of 3, but then obviously it reduces its cost by 1, which is amazing. In the Janemba leader, this basically costs 0, and you get to just rest a card for free. Being able to rest any card seems crazy to me, honestly. And it's just the fact that this is basically a 2 mana rest any card on the board, and it eats a life in the early game. It's just amazing. Like there's nothing bad. There's no bad lines of text on this card, and the artwork is just god tier. Honestly, an amazing super rare. We have Berta. So on play, choose up to 1 battle card in the opponent's battle area, switch it to rest mode. This is very solid for what it is. It's just the 1-drop freezer, but with lethal stats. I think being able to play this off of like Frieza's spaceship, I think will be quite good, honestly. Like it's basically a 0 mana rest a card whilst developing a 20k body. I think that is quite good. It having the Freezer Force and Freezer Army and Ginyu Force traits, I think is also good for respective decks. I think overall this is a very solid common. Bio Warrior, activate battle, KO this card in a battle area, then choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area and switch it to rest mode. Then this is just terrible. It's 1-drop freezer, but significantly worse. There's nothing more to say. Bio Broly, when attacking, if you have 2 or more active energy, draw a card. I think this is only going to be good in Janemba. And in Janemba, I think this is a very good card. Right? A very good card. It's your main source of card draw, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, in Janemba, I think this is great. Generically, outside of that, I don't think it's going to be very, very good. I understand why it's a rare, though. And then we have Bio Broly Super Rare. On play, draw a card, then you switch 2 energy to active mode. So this is essentially a free cost 35k body. And then in the Janemba deck, it's essentially a 1 cost 35k body, which is basically a 1 mana cantrip that has 35k. In Janemba, I think this card's a house. Like, it's just amazing, right? It's borderline a free body for 35k. And I think once you're on 6 energy, you can play 2 of them in the same turn, which is obscenely powerful to me. Yellow's got quite a lot of interesting tools this set. Generically, not so much, but like leader locked wise, quite a bit. I think this card is really good in Janemba. Generically, I think it's just okay. Then we have Freezer, the other rare. When attacking, add up to 1 life to your hand. Then you get to choose 1 battle card your opponent controls, switch it to rest mode. I think this card's fantastic, honestly. It does everything you want it to do. Like, being able to continuously rest any card on the battle area whilst this card is on the board is just a very powerful effect. Just literally enables a lot of your rest ability removal, or your rest your rest extras, like energy absorption, sorry, right? And then like enabling Super Rare Goku, Double Strike Freezer, Golden Freezer, Barrier Freezer. And the fact that, like, if you're playing the Freezer leader, you get to just restand this and your opponent can't interact with this outside of hard removal is quite good. And it's a 10k. Overall, this is a fantastic rare. Very much like the Android 18 from set 2. Majin Buu Evil, on play, add a life to your hand. Then choose on KO, choose 1 rest mode battle card that costs 3 or less in the opponent's battle area, KO it. I think this card is just okay. Not particularly very strong. Like even in the Majin Buu deck, I think you already got better options than this card, but I wouldn't hold you if you used to play it. Mecha Freezer, activate main, switch this card into rest mode. Look at the top 3 cards. of your deck, and then reveal up to one Freezer clan and its special traits, add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom. I think this card's quite good. If you're playing a like, obviously, as long as you're building around this card and you have enough Freezer clan cards, this card's amazing, right? In the cooler deck as well, it is worth noting that you could just restand this with the caller leader's effect, and then you get to draw an additional card off of the free drop caller, which is quite nice. So you get to like cycle a card, and you have to cycle a card to your hand, draw a card off the caller, and then filter a dead card out your hands. That's really, really powerful. But yeah, I think this is a great cantrip, honestly. Very future proof. It can only get better. Men. Check the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal one card with the Jaguar Island special traits except for itself, and then put it to the bottom of the deck. This cantrip's fine. I'm never going to say a cantrip is bad. It just depends on what the targets are. At the moment, the Jaguar Island targets that are playable are just Bio Brodies. The rest of them are not very good. Then we have Raccoon, the permanent on your turn. If you have a total of 3 or more Ginyu Force in the special... if you have a total of 3 or more Ginyu Force in their special traits amongst your leader and battle cards, this card gains 5k. This is fine. Ginyu notoriously has an issue with 25k leaders, so having a dude that can actually swing for that number is kind of nice. I would have preferred if it buffed the board though. So for the extras, Dazzling Onslaught, activate battle. Cards that are in a battle gain 25k for the battle, then you can switch on energy to active mode. This card's quite solid. Nothing really more to say about it. The fact that it needs the initial cost of 2, but then gives you 1 back is really, really nice. Nothing really more to say. It's not a bad card. It's just a very solid option if you need a 25k extra. During either play's turn is also great. Then we have Hell Raska, or Hell Rashka, I should say. Activate battle. Cards that are in a battle gain 25k for the battle. Then you can choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area and switch it to rest mode. This card's also fantastic. Like, this will really punish bad sequencing on your opponent's part. Being able to rest any battle card and get out of an attack is great. So if your opponent autopilots by playing a battle card first, then swings with their leader, you can get out of an attack for free and rest that battle card. Very much like Punk Gibson in One Piece. But yeah, this card's really, really good. I can't... Oh, I should compare this to Blind Spot Absorption, right? But yeah, this card, I think, is just quite solid for what its cost is. Next, we have Jaguar's Island, a field card. Switch this card to battle. Switch this card into rest mode. Play up to 1 battle card with a cost 1 with Jaguar Island traits from your hand in rest mode. I think this card's terrible. There's no real reason to play Man or Lord Jaguar off of this card's effects. I just think this card's awful, honestly. Then we have Wicked Rampage, KO Psych Demon, which was the cantrip in yellow. In your battle area, check the top 5 cards, reveal up to 1 Janemba, add it to your hand, place the rest to the bottom. Then you can play 1 Janemba with a cost 2 from your hand. At the moment, there's only the vanilla and the promo, but even then, this card only, even though this card costs nothing, you've only got 1 Psych Demon in the game to target off of this. So I just think this is terrible. It's just situational cute garbage that you don't really want to play. Fierce Hyper Beam. Activate main, draw a card, then choose up to 1 rest mode battle card. It can't switch to active mode during your opponent's next turn. This is probably the only other Jaguar Island card that is good. You basically have a choice between energy absorption or this, honestly. It's at this point, it's just what suits your playstyle more in terms of your deck. Both are fine, neither are bad. Bulma can get both of them back anyway, so it's fine. So we're now in the black cards, the last color. So we have Gogeta, draws a card on the front side, doesn't gain any effect when it flips. And then obviously when it flips, it draws an attack, and then you can pay an energy. If you don't control an energy marker, you gain an energy marker. This is the most generic black leader we will ever get. I think you can build any type of strategy within this leader, which I think is quite good. It not drawing on Awakening is fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Black is a color that doesn't have a lack of card advantage anyway. So I think it's just because they know you can play any type of package or strategy within this leader is why it doesn't gain anything when it awakens. But overall, I think this leader is quite solid. Very future proof. Like you can play any type of strategy. It doesn't have to be the Another World strategy. But we're playing with a leader that can utilize every single energy marker effect in the game once awakened. That is very good. So we have North Kai or King Kai on play. If you have an energy marker, choose up to one Son Goku in your battle area and it gains 20k for the turn. This is terrible for free energy, honestly. There are just much better things to do for free energy, honestly. It's just not worth it. Not at all. We have Gotenks on play. If you've removed an energy marker to play this, choose up to 2 battle cards with a cost 2 or less in the battle area and KO them. If you want to move away from playing times 10 Kamehameha in this leader, I wouldn't blame you. And that this is a valid option if you wanted to play this card. I still think times 10 is just overall better card to play. But if you wanted to play this, I wouldn't blame you, honestly. It's not too bad. Not that great, though. It could have been a 10k, that's for sure. Super Baby 2. So it's auto once per turn. When a card is used in a combo from your battle area while this card's in a battle, you draw 2, then pitch 1. I think this card is just fine. It reads very much like a rare. Doesn't really contribute or support what you need to do in Baby, in my personal opinion. You draw more than enough cards, but you're digging towards whatever card pieces you need, and you can just discard the nombos. I just think there are better things to play on free. I'd actually still rather play the promo Super Baby 2 over this, if I'm being completely honest. Comboing from your battle area to gain the effect also, I think is just a little bit too rough. I think you should just be able to combo from anywhere, then I'd heavily consider this. But it's fine, it does exactly what I expect a rare to do. Son Goku, the other rare. Permanent on your turn. If you have an energy marker, this card gains 5k. On play, you can eat a life. I think this card fundamentally is just terrible. Whilst we still control whilst we still have free drop Goku Super Rare from set 3 that generates an energy marker that has 25k as well. I just think I think this rare is always going to be overshadowed by a card like that. Son Goku, the Super Rare. So on play, if you remove an energy marker to play this card, you draw 2 cards. And activate main once per turn, discard a card from your hand and switch this card to active. Yeah, switch this card to active. I'm just stammering over words. But yeah, this card's fantastic. This is possibly the strongest thing you could play on curve after playing SCR Goku. If you still have the marker, this is just phenomenal to play, honestly. Really good cards. Black needs more cards like this that are just high statted, that you can play on curve that are good. At the moment, this is probably the only other 5-drop in the game in black that you'd want to play. So this is very welcomed. Obviously, this has no effect if you don't generate markers. This card has no effect, honestly. But if you do, yeah, this card's a house. It's still a really good card. I think this might be the best black card, honestly, and that's saying something. Goten, just a skillless. Gohan, just a skillless. Grand Kai is a super combo with the Another World trait. Trunks Youth, if you play this card using the energy marker, play up to 1 skillless Trunks with a cost 2 from your hand. I don't really see the point of playing this card ever. Like, generating 2 20k bodies is fine, right? Like, that's sure. But I just think there are always better things to do if you're giving up your energy marker. West Kai is a blocker. When KO'd, if you don't have an energy marker, you gain an energy marker. This card's horrendous. Bardock, the other rare. It's got crit, and it's auto once per turn. If your lead is Bardock, when your card is used in a combo while this card's in a battle, choose up to 1 battle card that costs 4 or less in the battle area, KO it. I wish this card came out in set 3. This is just 2 sets too late. A card like this is just not particularly very good. it's welcomed Bardock support, and it's cool that this is another target for a new legend. But like once again, like this card is just okay. It's too late. Honestly, this card is just way too late for the Bardock leader. It's not gonna make Bardock any better. Let's just say that. Then we have Pykuhon or Pycon. On play, add a life to your hand. When attacking, if you have an energy marker, look at the top two cards of your deck, reveal one card with the Another World trait, and add it to your hand, put the rest at the bottom. This card's fine. This is very much a build around card. I don't think there's enough targets right now that are good to warrant playing this card just yet, but it's a card that can only get better in time. If you want to dedicate a deck around this card, I think it's like you're completely valid to do so. Like turn 1 Kakarot into turn 2 this. So long as this card lives, you're drawing an additional card every single turn. If this card misses, that's a deck building problem. That's not this card's problem. So like, I think this card is solid. It's fine, but it's very much a build around card. If we get more Another World trait cards, this card can only get better. But if we don't, and this is all we have, it's kind of sad. Videl is just a vanilla, whatever. Isekai is just a one-drop blocker, terrible. Bulma GT, so it's brainwashed. On play, add a life to your hand and activate main switch this card to rest mode, draw a card. For Baby, the Rildo line specifically, this is... I think for the Rildo line, or even generic line, I think this card's just fantastic. It does everything you want to do in Baby. Another Self-Awakener, which is amazing, and being able to draw an additional card before you combo it off with one of your battle cards or leader is a house. Amazing card. Definitely going to be a 4 in Rildo, and probably going to be mucked around with a little bit into generic build, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't want to play this. We have Veku here. It's just a blocker. And end of turn, if you have an energy marker, switch this card to active. This is basically what you want your blockers to do. It costing 3 is a little bit rough, but like this is basically what you want blockers to do, be able to attack and then restand itself. Like I said, blockers are usually notoriously not quite good, but this just being a lethal attacker that can block is kind of nice. So we have Vegeta here. On play, add a life to your hand, and then if you have an energy marker, choose a battle card with the Another World trait, and it gains 10k for the turn. This is just fine. If you're choosing to actually do the Pycon strategy, then this is going to be a fine target to choose. You could potentially like play this after you've resolved the Pycon and make Pycon a 30k body, or you can make this a 25k. It being a 10k as well is fine. So yeah, I think it's a solid card if you're choosing to do the Another World strategy. We have a 3-drop Vegeta. On play, if this is the rare as well, if on play, if you have an energy marker, choose up to 1 battle card your opponent controls with 3 or less, KO it. Very solid card. If you don't want to play times 10, you can just play this card, right? I think this has the exact same text as the Gohan 3-drop in black as well. I can't remember if the Gohan 3-drop needs to use the energy marker to pop a card, but if it's not and it's just a different flavor, then this is definitely better than that Gohan, 100%. Keeping the marker is more important. South Kai is a cantrip. It having the Another World trait is huge. Makes the Pycon strategy a lot more viable. So we're on to the extras now. Ultimate Sparking. Activate battle once per turn, or opponent's turn only. Your cards that are in a battle gain 20k. Then if you use an energy marker for this effect, you choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area and it can't attack for the turn. This card's amazing. Really powerful. Such a good Hercule target. I understand why this is a rare. This is such a powerful defensive card. Being able to get out of a leader swing and then safely choose a card your opponent controls and stun it for the turn is amazing. Really, really good card. I cannot overstate how good this card is. This is a card black is needed for a minute as a defensive option. Soul Punisher. So activate main, you choose up to 1 of these 2 effects. You can choose a battle card your opponent controls and KO it. And if you use an energy marker to use this card, you can choose 2 cards your opponent controls and KO them. Once again, this is a really good card that black is needed for a hot minute. It's just very good, solid removal. I could honestly see a universe where you just don't play times 10 and you play Soul Punisher instead. being able to answer any card in the game now in black, I think is something it's desperately needed. Because at the time we've only had suboptimal cards like Oob, which gives your opponent energy markers, and Bardock that requires you to go -2 from hand, or to give up 2 cards on board when you're ahead to clear a card. So having a generic extra that answers a card is amazing. This is very much like Black's version of Sickle Final Explosion, right? Very, very much needed. Fusion Resurrection, activate main. If you have an energy marker, check the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a card with Saiyan trait, and then put the rest to the bottom. I think this card is fine. Like, there are so many targets that have the Saiyan trait. Almost every Self Awakener in black has the Saiyan trait. Pan, Goku, Vegeta, Bardock. The SCR Goku being a target is amazing. Double Strike Bardock being a target is amazing. 5-drop target, 5-drop Goku being a target is great. 2 of your super combos are also targets. Being able to add the extras I just shown, Ultimate Sparking and Soul Punisher, is great. Finding room for this card is the hardest thing about playing this card, I think. And then I think the last black card is Trash Talk. So activate main, you draw a card, and then if you have an energy marker, choose a battle card that costs 4 or less in the battle area. It can't attack for the turn. This card's solid, honestly. I don't think there's anything bad about this card. Being able to play this alongside Power Brothers is quite nice. Like, you get to essentially stun 2 cards, right? You get to just stun a 4 or less, and then Power stuns what you can't stun. I don't know how many copies of this card you'd want to play, but it has the Another World trait, which is really nice. But I appreciate that this is a card that replaces itself and stuns a card. Being able to stun cards, I think, is just a very powerful effect in general. Even if it is locked to 4 or lesses, I still think this is quite good. So now we have the Secret Rare, the green one. Let's just show you the different artworks before we read the effect. So this is the alt art and the God Rare. So it has Double Strike, and if your life's at 2 or less, and you don't control another Goku with cost 7 in the battle area, reduce the cost of this card by 4. This is a really solid card. I think generically you could get away with playing around 2 copies of this as your go-to double striker in green if you wanted to. I think this is debatably better than playing the double strike androids, honestly. Double strikers that cost less than 4 on 4 or less are just always worth looking out for. They are very dangerous cards that let you end the game. Like, especially in green decks, like playing this in the Goku deck, obviously this is the build around card for Goku, the green one. You can play this off of training at 100 Gs. You could potentially play this off of future Gohan if you're at 2 or less life. This is a very solid card. Like, obviously all it does is double strike, but the reduced cost is quite solid. Then lastly, we have the Secret Rare Frieza. I'll go through the alts. This one looks really cool. And then the God Rare. So this Frieza has Barrier, because why not? And then when attacking, pay 2. Choose up to 1 Rest Mode battle card with cost 5 or less. And then you just get to place it into the owner's drop. So this card finally enables Yellow to... It finally enables players to feel confident about playing Yellow because we can now out 4-cost Jiren. Yellow has been gatekept by Jiren since set 3, and it's been quite sad because of that. Because Yellow is quite a strong color that I do think is really good within the meta wheel. But like it now no longer being gatekept by 1 card name is fantastic, right? Overall, I think the best leader that can utilize this is Janemba, because you can utilize the card's effects immediately on 4 to KO or to send any rested 4-drop on the 5 or less on the board, which is really, really good. This is like the card you could play for free off of the King Cold that I was talking about before. Overall, I think this card is great. It's going to be exceedingly hard to remove, as you've seen with the Margin Boo. Like, removing Margin Boo was very annoying, and that the only way to remove barrier cards is to swing into them. And to remove a card like this, you'd have to swing around 40. You have to swing around 40 to 50 to get rid of it. And if your opponent actually wants to get rid, like if you actually want to if you actively want to get rid of it, you'd have to swing around 60. So your opponent doesn't just go super 5 if you swing 50 into it. You'd have to go around 60 because super 10 is like quite a lot in comparison to super 5, right? Because if you go 60 into it, they have to go super 10-5 or two supers. But yeah, this card's fantastic. Honestly, it's just allowed yellow to become viable again, which is great. Like, I don't like the fact that colors can be gatekept by a single card name. That is a little bit ridiculous. So it's just a very welcome thing to see that yellow is finally back. But yeah, that's it. That's for all the cards. Honestly, I feel like green got nothing. If I'm being honest, I feel like green kind of got nothing. Red got a couple things for Dimer, for the Dimer stuff. Blue got quite a lot of tools. A lot of them quite Vegito and Gohan focused, but still a solid amount of generic cards. Yellow got quite a lot of cards focused around Janemba, not too much as I thought it was going to get, but like a fair bit. And black, honestly, I don't think got very much either. I honestly think it's just the extras. I think it's just the extras and the super rares that Black gets to play around with this set, which is fair. Black has had nothing but good cards for the last two sets, so I'm not surprised they got a couple medium cards. In terms of the secret rares, I think obviously the better of the two is Frieza. Like, Frieza's going to be played in every yellow deck for the foreseeable future, right? Like, it's just generically needed. Very, very good card. But yeah, thanks for watching. The next wave of stuff is probably going to be me playing my untapped games, just like a couple of set 5 games until we get to the main set. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.